It's been described by many as a perfectly ordered event. The perfect hit, in the perfect spot, and at the perfect time that caused our nation to stop, hold their breath, and consider what is most important. Like many, Ann and I hunkered down for that marquee Monday night AFC football matchup between your Josh Allen Buffalo Bills and my Joe babyface cool Burrow Cincinnati Bengals. Now, just as a reminder, and I say this with all my humility, with my Bengals ahead 7-3 and on the verge of another score, the unthinkable happened. In those pursuing dark minutes after DeMar collapsed and the medics rushed the field, like most, my first reaction was visible shock, sadness, and despair. For the nation, darkness had pierced that cold Cincinnati night sky, and a great stillness fell over the banks of the Ohio River in an unforgettable and unimaginable way. Yet for me, this was followed swiftly by hope. Indeed, hope. You see, in Cincy, it is common knowledge that the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, the Level 1 Trauma Center, always have trauma and ER airway doctors on the sidelines of every single professional game. The Bengals, the Reds, and FC Cincinnati soccer. We don't play hockey. So, in addition to the Bills and Bengals team doctors, there were other highly trained and skilled specialists to manage the unthinkable in a rightly ordered way. Later in the week, the two lead trauma specialists charged with DeMar's care were interviewed. And that interview went viral and into the social media vortex. It was everywhere and on every channel. Now, if you recall, the two UC trauma doctors spoke of what happened, the intervention, maintenance, prognosis, and surprisingly, comments on the power of prayer for a non-affiliated Catholic institution. The one neurological trauma doctor, the one with the long hair sticking out his hat, is William Knight IV. Coincidentally, Dr. Bill and his wife Ann and their two children were neighbors in my Loveland, Ohio community and are parishioners at St. Columban, the church I just left a few months ago. Go figure, what a small world. So let me share with you a little bit about Bill that you haven't heard on ESPN or the national news. And here's the disclaimer. His wife said I can say whatever I wanted to about Bill. He's a bit of a throwback from Woodstock, even though he was too young to attend, hence the long hair. We almost never see him in his scrubs. He's most comfortable in shorts, flip-flops, a baseball hat, and driving his Ford F-150 with his two kids in tow, either to Boy Scouts or music practice. Even though Bill is head of the UCER trauma department, he prefers nights to avoid daytime politics. Bill and Ann both have active ministries at my old parish. For many years, they have helped lead Boy Scouts first aid merit badge training. Bill, of course, brings all the cool and latest trauma toys. And Ann leads the ministry that gets little, if any, recognition. Every Saturday morning, she and her crew dust the church pews, sweep the floors, and vacuum the rugs. Just people like us, a family of prayer, following Jesus' call to come after him. So naturally, when I saw Bill on the local and the national news, I had to send him and Ann a text message giving him, of course, what I do best is giving him grief. Can I have your autograph? ESPN, really? Get a haircut. In subsequent conversation, Bill said DeMar's cardiac event was not unlike a cosmic event. To use an analogy, the earth, moon, and sun had to be perfectly lined, rightly ordered for that event to happen. Coincidentally, yesterday at exactly 3:55 p.m., there was another rightly ordered event. It was a celestial event bringing the new moon and the Lunar New Year for those in the Eastern and Southeastern cultures. Now, if our Western New York skies were cooperative, as the moon passed perfectly between the Earth and the sun, we would have been able to observe in the dark sky a distant light of faint objects, such as star clusters, galaxies, and a new rare green comet that they're talking about. Light, and light coming from darkness. Our readings today have a very similar theme of light coming from darkness. Consider for a moment Isaiah's prophecy was like that first glance of light and hope for Damar and the nation when he took his first breath after being resuscitated. It begins in the distant and vulnerable dark as a dimly lit light. Now, this light of Isaiah was prophesied some 700 years before Christ. And what Isaiah could have foreseen only dimly, our gospel storyteller was able to clearly identify. For in Matthew, its light is rightly ordered and shines perfectly like none other, and brilliantly clear for all to see. Jesus was that prophesied great and dazzling light. He was and is the source of joy and hope predicted long ago. Just a month ago, we celebrated the hope and joy of Christmas. This hope is Jesus, and he is the light that came into the world. He is the light that dispels darkness, brings brightness out of gloom and joy out of sorrow. And this light calls us to come after him. Come after me, Jesus' voice rings out. He says this with such conviction and authority that both Peter and Andrew immediately dropped their nets and followed. Then, get this, the same response happened again with James and John. They too immediately followed him, leaving behind all their possessions and family. Now notice, Jesus did not say to the fishermen, "Hey, you fellows over there, yes, you two in the water with your nets, over there where Nancy's choir sits, if you would consider, I hope you would consider coming after me. I think maybe, perhaps, I can make you really good fishers of men." No, Jesus is a person on a mission, and there's purpose into his haste. He says, "Come after me," creating that sense of urgency to follow him with spontaneity. Today, our storyteller invites us to come after Jesus and be messengers of God's mercy, grace, and hope to others. In following Jesus, we're called not just to follow, but to leave our own comfort zones, to reach those who are marginalized and in need for the light of the gospel. This means taking personal risks and leaving behind our own nets, boats, snow shovels, and families. For this is not just a call, but a lifelong job description. It's no secret we're living in difficult times, nations at war, political and religious strife. This morning they were talking about tens of thousands of IT people being let go, widening gap between the rich and poor, just to name a few. And many find themselves lost in the abyss of darkness with no hope of any light shining through. So how do we become their light of hope? Called to come follow Jesus, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, as skilled fishermen, brought their skills of patience, perseverance, and hope. Called to come follow Jesus, we bring our stewardship of time in gifts and caring for others. For in doing so, we become the light of Christ to nourish one's body and soul. We become that sliver of hope, the light shining through one's abyss of darkness that helps build God's kingdom. Called to come follow Jesus, collectively we gather as one body, young and old, rich and poor. We rise and sing, kneel in harmony, and awaken our minds and souls in perfect and rightly ordered praise. As I land the plane on this homily, a few days ago I asked my friend Bill to give me some words to share with my new Buffalo friends here at St. Greg's. This is what he had to say. Keep praying. Keep shoveling. And go Bills, but don't tell any of our Cincinnati friends I said that. Perhaps, just perhaps, that's the message today for us when Jesus said, "Come after me." Indeed, keep praying. Put down our fishing nets and snow shovels. Follow that light and start fishing and shoveling for the souls of others.